The transport ship landed on station with a heavy thud. Captain Lisa Porter grabbed her bag and stepped out into the cold metal corridors of the training facility. Around her, the walls hummed with the sound of machinery and distant voices. This place had seen better days. The paint on the walls was faded, and some of the lights flickered with age. She had been sent here by the Galactic Council for one simple reason. Someone had to oversee the human recruits. No one else wanted the job. Lisa walked through the corridors and found the training director, an old named. The tall crystalline being barely looked at her as he handed over the files. "They are hopeless," said without emotion. His voice sounded like ice cracking. "Every trainer before you has tried, every trainer has failed. The human cubs cannot think like warriors. They lack the discipline of they lack the precision of they are too slow, too weak, and too emotional." Lisa opened the file and read the reports. Each one told the same story. The 17 human recruits ranging from 16 to 19 years old were deemed unsuitable. Their scores were low. Their reactions were slow. They showed signs of doubt and fear. One trainer had written that humans were simply built wrong for combat. "When can I see them?" Lisa asked. "Now, if you wish. They are in the lower bay. They do nothing useful, so it makes no difference." Lisa made her way down to the training bay. What she found was a group of young people sitting on the floor, some talking quietly, others staring at nothing. They looked tired and broken. 2 years on this station had taken something from them. The hope, maybe, the belief that they could be something more. One of them noticed her first. A girl with dark hair stood up. "Another trainer?" the girl asked. Her voice was hard. "Come to tell us we are broken." "I am Captain Lisa Porter," Lisa said. She did not introduce herself with apologies or soft words. "I am here to train you, not to judge you, not to compare you to other species. I am here to teach you what you can actually do." The recruits did not look impressed. They had heard promises before. Lisa looked at each face. She saw anger, disappointment, and fear. But she also saw something else. She saw people who had refused to break completely. They were still here. They had not quit. "My name is," said the boy closest to her. He was tall and lean with sharp eyes. "They said we lack the discipline to be warriors. They said we cannot think fast enough. They did not even come to test us. They said it was a waste of time." "All of that may be true," Lisa said. "But I was not sent here to teach you to be or I was sent here to teach you to be human warriors, and that is something very different." Lisa walked to the center of the bay. "Humanity comes from a planet called Earth. It is a harsh world. The weather tries to kill you. The animals try to kill you. Disease, hunger, and cold all try to kill you. And you know what? Humans survived. We thrived. We built cities and civilizations and learned to travel to the stars. We did not do this by being like other species. We did it by being ourselves." And the other recruits listened. "They think in straight lines," Lisa continued. "Everything has a pattern. They think as one collective mind. They move in perfect unity. They think in ancient traditions. They follow the same paths that have worked for thousands of years. But humans think differently. We ask questions. We break rules. We find new ways when old ways do not work. We are creative. We are adaptable. We refuse to accept that something is impossible just because no one has done it before." A girl with short hair stood up. "Then why are we losing?" she asked. "If we are so special, why does every trainer say we fail?" "Because they are testing you like you are supposed to be them," Lisa said. "They measure you against their standards. Of course you fail. You are not them. You never will be, but you can be something better. You can be something they cannot be." Lisa spent the next hour talking to them. She learned their names. The strategic thinker who questioned every decision. The physically strongest of the group. David, who understood technology better than most military officers. Sarah, who could read people and understand their weaknesses, and others, each with their own skills and strengths. By the time Lisa finished, something had changed in the room. The recruits still looked tired, but the broken look had faded. Something else had taken its place. Curiosity, a small spark of hope. "Starting tomorrow," Lisa said, "we begin training, not their training, not how they or want you to train. We train as humans. We start at dawn and we do not stop until the sun falls. Some of you will want to quit. Some of you will believe you cannot continue. You will be wrong. You will continue because you are humans, and humans do not stop when things become difficult. We stop when the job is done." Stepped forward. "What do we do first?" he asked. Lisa smiled for the first time since arriving at station. "First, you for 3 months passed. The training bay at station had become something different. Lisa pushed her 17 recruits harder than any trainer had before. They ran for hours in the morning. They studied tactics in the afternoon. They practiced combat sequences until their bodies moved on instinct alone. And when the sun fell, they trained with weapons and equipment until exhaustion took them. The strategic thinker learned to see the entire battlefield at once. He could predict 3 moves ahead, finding weaknesses in formations that seemed unbeatable. The strongest of them discovered that raw strength meant nothing if you did not know where to place that strength. David spent hours learning to use technology not as a crutch, but as an extension of their tactical thinking. And Sarah learned to read opponents so completely that she could predict their next move before they made it. But Lisa did something else that the other trainers had not done. She taught them to work as one unit. 17 separate people who thought like one organism. When called out a change in strategy, the others adapted instantly. When needed support, 6 fighters moved to protect her. When David's technology gave them information, all 17 processed that information and changed their approach as a single force. The changes did not go unnoticed. The observers who watched from the upper observation decks began to whisper. They had seen human training before. This was different. The movements were not perfect, not like precision, but they were effective. More than that, they were unpredictable. They prided themselves on calculating every possible outcome, but Lisa's recruits did things that the formulas could not explain. The collective sent a representative to watch. They operated as a hive mind, thousands of individuals thinking as one consciousness. They were perhaps the most coordinated military force in the galaxy, but what they saw in Lisa's training bay troubled them. The humans were coordinated, yes, but they were not controlled. They maintained individuality while acting in perfect unity. It was a concept that they found disturbing and fascinating at the same time. Then, 4 months into the training, something even more significant happened. They sent a delegation. There were legends across the galaxy. They had mastered combat over 5,000 years. They had never been defeated. Their techniques were taught in every military academy in known space. Warriors considered it the greatest honor to study under a master. They did not usually concern themselves with human affairs. When they arrived, observers scrambled to clear space in the observation deck. Even the facility director came to watch. The ancient warrior named or stood at the window, looking down at the human training bay. He was tall, with silver hair and eyes that seemed to see everything. He had trained armies. He had commanded galactic fleets. He had studied every fighting style known to the galaxy. "Why have you brought me here?" Or asked, not taking his eyes off Lisa and her recruits. The humans said, "They are doing something unusual, I thought they should know." Or watched for an hour in silence. Below, Lisa put her recruits through a simulation. The scenario was complex. 4 of the recruits played the role of enemy fighters. The other 13 had to respond to an unknown attack and adapt their tactics in real time. What Orr observed was remarkable. The human formation did not respond with the rigid discipline that characterized training. Instead, it flowed. When one section of the defensive line came under pressure, the entire group shifted to support it. When new information came from a scout, the strategy changed instantly. There was no hesitation, no need for orders to travel through a chain of command. The humans moved like water, always finding the path of least resistance, always adapting to the terrain. "Interesting," Orr said finally. "I would like to see a formal demonstration, something more substantial than a simple training exercise." Looked uncomfortable. The humans are not ready. A demonstration before the council would be premature. "I did not ask for a demonstration before the council," Orr said. "I asked for a demonstration, arrange it." Word spread quickly through station. They had taken interest in the human recruits. This meant something. It meant the humans might actually be worth attention after all. But Lisa did not let the attention change her focus. She continued the training exactly as before. She did not tell the recruits about the observation. She did not alter the program to impress powerful observers. She did exactly what she had promised on the first day. She taught them to become the best version of what they were. 2 weeks after Orr's visit, Lisa received a formal request. The warrior wanted a demonstration, not a training exercise. A full combat simulation against recorded tactical data from one of their greatest commanders. Lisa's recruits gathered in the training bay. She told them what was being asked. "This is not about proving yourselves to the," Lisa said. She never used soft words, never tried to make things sound easier than they were. "This is about proving yourselves to yourselves. They have seen human failure before. Hundreds of other species have seen human failure. But this will be the first time humans try to show what we can actually do. and for some of you this may be the last chance we get." "Stood straight, then we do not fail," he said. Nodded, "What do we do?" Lisa spent 3 days preparing them. She showed them recordings of the commander they would face in simulation. She analyzed every pattern, every technique. She broke down the legendary warrior's approach into component parts. "The fight with perfection," Lisa explained. "Every movement serves a purpose. Every technique has been proven in 5,000 years of combat. They are efficient, strong, and impossible to surprise. So you do not fight them the way they expect to be fought. You do not try to match their precision. You do not copy their techniques. You do something they have never encountered before." Sarah asked the question they were all thinking. "What is that?" "You change," Lisa said. "You adapt faster than they expect. You use their strength against them. You refuse to follow the patterns they predict. You become chaos in a way that actually works." The demonstration was scheduled for the following day. The observation deck filled with witnesses, representatives, members of the Galactic Council, and/or himself. 50 species were represented, all watching to see if humans could do anything besides fail. Lisa's recruits entered the simulation chamber. The doors closed. The demonstration began. The first wave of attacks came fast and precise, exactly as combat doctrine predicted. The human formation held, but instead of meeting attack with matching strength, they gave ground. They retreated, regrouped, and suddenly the attacking formation had moved into a position where its strength became a liability. The simulation continued. Attack and adaptation, aggression and evasion. What the observers witnessed was not the human recruits trying to be warriors. It was humans being exactly what they were meant to be. When the simulation ended, the observation deck fell into silence. The humans had won, not barely, completely. They had dismantled the tactical data of a legendary commander without once trying to use his methods against him. Or descended to the training bay with 4 other warriors at his side. Lisa stood waiting. She had expected this. The recruits stayed back, uncertain what the presence of the greatest warriors in the galaxy meant for them. The legendary warrior approached Lisa directly. His eyes were ancient and knowing. "What you have created is remarkable," Or said. His voice carried the weight of 5,000 years of authority. "I have studied combat my entire life. I have mastered every form of warfare known to our people, and I have just witnessed something I have never seen before. Humans fighting like humans, not like failed copies of other species." "Thank you," Lisa said simply. "I did not say it as a compliment only," Or continued. "I said it because it matters. The Galactic Council fears what they do not understand. What you have demonstrated today will either elevate humanity across the galaxy, or it will bring down consequences you cannot imagine." Before Lisa could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Red warning lights flashed in the training bay. An automated voice announced a security lockdown. Lisa and Or exchanged glances, then moved toward the control room. What they found was chaos. The facility director had filed an official complaint to the Galactic Council. The complaint stated that the simulation programming had been tampered with, that Lisa had altered the tactical data to make humans appear more capable than they truly were. "This is a lie," said when Lisa told him. The young man's face showed more anger than sadness. "We all know what we did. We defeated that simulation." "The council will not care about our truth," Lisa said. She had fought bureaucracies before. This was how they worked. "They will care about what they can verify." But it got worse. The collective filed their own complaint, claiming that human training methods violated the established protocols that governed all military instruction across the galaxy. They demanded that Lisa's program be shut down immediately. Then came the final blow. The Galactic Council issued a directive. All human training at station was suspended indefinitely. No further exercises could be conducted until a full investigation had been completed. No more tests, no more demonstrations. Lisa called a meeting in the training bay. Her recruits gathered around her. Their faces showed the defeat that she had taught them not to feel. Everything they had worked for, every moment of pain and exhaustion and growth, was being taken away. "They said we cheated," said her voice hard. "They said the test was fixed. That is how they take this away from us. That is how they keep us hopeless." Sarah said nothing. She was reading the situation, trying to understand the real motivations behind the complaints. "Why would they do this?" asked. "We won, we proved what we could do." Lisa sat down in front of them. She did not offer empty comfort or soft words. They had moved past that in their training. "Because we won," she said. "Because humans are not supposed to be capable. Because we challenged something that the galaxy thought was settled. They want to believe they are the masters of discipline. They want to believe that no one can match their collective consciousness. They have the most to lose because their entire authority comes from being the greatest warriors in existence. And we just proved that someone untrained, underfunded, and dismissed by everyone could defeat their tactics." David looked up. "So what do we do?" "We appeal," Lisa said. "I will take this before the council myself, and I will demand a true test, not a simulation created by the same people who want us to fail. A test overseen by neutral observers from species that have nothing to gain from either our success or our failure." "The council will refuse you," one of the older recruits said. "Probably," Lisa agreed, "but they will refuse a human trainer, and humans know how to stand against systems that want to crush them. We come from Earth where everything is harder than it should be. We have done this before." Lisa spent the next 3 days preparing her case. She contacted every military commander and observer who had watched the demonstration. She gathered statements from neutral parties. She compiled evidence of everything her recruits had accomplished. But her greatest advantage came from an unexpected source, or arrived at her quarters one evening with formal documentation in his hands. "They will support your appeal," Or said. "I have convinced the Elder Council that what I witnessed today was not a trick or a system malfunction. It was something genuine, and for them to ignore it would be a failure of our own principles." Lisa felt something shift. "Why?" she asked. "Supporting us brings you nothing but criticism from the other." "Because you are right," Or said, "and because I am old enough to recognize when the galaxy needs to change. They have been the greatest warriors in existence for 5,000 years. But perfection does not evolve. What you have shown me is evolution in real time, and evolution is more valuable than perfection." With support, the appeal moved forward. The Galactic Council called a hearing. Lisa presented her case before representatives from across the galaxy. They argued that human methods were dangerous and unproven. They insisted that human individuality created unpredictability that could not be trusted. But stood and spoke to the council. His words carried weight that no other voice could match. "I have seen the simulation results," he said. "I have reviewed all technical data, and I say to you that what the human trainer has accomplished is remarkable not because of deception, but because of truth. She has taught humans to be human warriors, not failed copies of other species. And if that makes the council uncomfortable, then the council needs to examine why it is uncomfortable with new ideas." The hearing lasted 2 full days. Evidence was presented. Arguments were made. Finally, the council made a decision. "A new test will be created," the council announced. "This test will be overseen by neutral observers. The programming will be created by 3 different species, none of whom have political interest in the outcome, and the human recruits will compete against these neutral scenarios. If they succeed again, they will be fully the week before the competition." Lisa pushed her recruits harder than ever. She knew that the new simulation would be different. 3 species working together to design a test that humans had no way to prepare for meant there would be surprises. Real surprises, not just variations on patterns they already understood. She ran them through endurance training that left them gasping. She had them solve tactical problems with incomplete information. She forced them to make decisions where no clear right answer existed. She wanted them broken and rebuilt so many times that doubt had no place left to hide in their minds. Collapsed during one session, his body simply refused to continue. Lisa helped him up and told him to keep moving. He did. Questioned a strategy that Lisa had given him, saying it would fail. Lisa told him to execute it anyway. It did fail, spectacularly. Then she explained why she had asked him to fail, so that he would understand what failure actually felt like and how to recover from it. Sarah broke down emotionally during a session where Lisa forced her to consider a scenario where one of her teammates would not survive. Lisa did not comfort her. She told her that leadership meant making choices where someone lost, and that her feelings about that choice would not change the reality of it. By the time the competition day arrived, the recruits were hollowed out, emptied of doubt, emptied of fear. What remained was pure capability and pure will. The observation deck was packed beyond capacity. 57 species had sent representatives. The Galactic Council members themselves attended. Media outlets from across the galaxy transmitted the event live to billions of worlds. Every military academy in known space watched, or was present with three other legendary warriors. The authority that had declared humans hopeless attended as well. The collective had a representative positioned to observe and calculate every detail. Lisa stood with her recruits in the preparation chamber. She did not give them speeches about honor or destiny or becoming legends. She said one thing. "You know what you can do," Lisa told them. "Trust that, do not hesitate, adapt when you need to adapt, support each other. And remember that humans are not built to follow paths other people have created for us. We are built to create new paths." The recruits entered the simulation chamber. The doors sealed behind them. The test began. The first scenario was chaos designed carefully by AI systems. The simulation placed the recruits in an environment where the ground itself was unstable. Environmental hazards appeared and disappeared randomly. Simulated enemy fighters attacked from multiple angles without any predictable pattern. The traditional military response would have been to secure a position and defend it. Instead, Lisa's recruits immediately began moving. They did not try to stand and fight. They adapted to the environment, using its chaos as cover. They moved as a unit, always protecting vulnerable members, always adapting formation to match the space they occupied. The first scenario ended with the human recruits not just surviving, but dominating. What would have been an impossible situation for a traditional military force became manageable for warriors trained to think like humans. The observation deck murmured. They exchanged uncomfortable glances. The representative was making calculations frantically. The second scenario was even worse. The simulation introduced coordinated attacks from multiple angles. The enemy formations were complex, working together with precision that could rival the collective. The human recruits faced pressure that threatened to overwhelm them. For a moment, Lisa watched them falter, hesitated when a new attack came from an unexpected direction, was separated from the main group by advancing enemy forces. David's technological support system experienced interference, cutting off the information flow that they had come to depend on. The formation loosened. It showed weakness for the first time since the test began. Lisa felt her heart drop. Everything they had worked for hung in the balance of these few seconds. But then something happened that Lisa had not planned for, did not freeze in his hesitation. He made a call, a tactical decision that was not in any manual they had studied. He shouted a command that restructured the entire formation on the basis of pure instinct. His teammates understood instantly. They had trained together for so long that they did not need explained orders. When adapted, they adapted with him. The formation transformed mid-combat, becoming something that no training doctrine had ever prescribed. Separated from the group, did not wait for rescue. She pushed forward through the enemy lines, knowing that the rest of the formation would adjust to support her movement. The formation flowed around her like water around a stone. David, cut off from his technological support, began calling out observations based on pure visual analysis. His voice guided, who adjusted tactical positions based on information that could not be calculated by machines. What the observers watched was a military force that did not fight according to any known strategy. The human recruits fought with fluidity and creativity and instant adaptation. They changed their approach moment by moment, learning from each encounter, improving constantly. The simulation's designers had created what they believed was an overwhelming force, but they had designed it based on predictable responses. They had assumed their opponent would follow tactical logic. Humans did not follow that logic. Humans found new logic in the chaos. The final stage of the test was meant to exhaust and break any remaining will. The simulation unleashed a cascade of attacks and environmental hazards designed to test endurance beyond what any species considered reasonable. The scenario was meant to prove that humans would eventually collapse under sustained pressure. Was bleeding from a cut on his arm where a simulated weapon had grazed him. Breathing was heavy and labored. Sarah's concentration wavered as exhaustion tried to take her, was making tactical calls with a level of precision that seemed impossible for someone this tired. But they did not collapse. They did not break. They fought through the final assault with a determination that seemed to border on inhuman. When the simulation finally ended, the human recruits were still standing, still moving, still fighting. The observation deck fell into absolute silence. Lisa watched the simulation results display on the large screens. Perfect tactical victory. Not even a close call. The human recruits had achieved something that even warriors themselves marveled at. They had fought without a predetermined strategy and won through pure adaptability, creativity, and cohesion. Or stood slowly. The three warriors with him stood as well. The legendary warrior looked at his companions and nodded. Then he began to applaud. The other joined him. Then the observers from neutral species began to applaud. And gradually, the entire observation deck stood and applauded the human recruits who had just proven that they were not hopeless. They were remarkable. The authority left the observation deck without acknowledging the outcome. The representative made final calculations and departed without speaking. But the gallery continued to applaud. Emerged from the simulation chamber, his recruits following behind him. They were exhausted. They were injured. They were also walking evidence that everything the galaxy had believed about humans had been wrong. The Galactic Council issued its announcement 3 days after the competition. The message was transmitted across billions of worlds, to trillions of people who had watched humans shift from hopeless to legendary in a single test. All restrictions on human training were lifted immediately. Humans would have full access to every advanced military program in the galaxy. More significantly, the Council issued a directive requiring detailed examination of human training methodologies. Every military academy wanted to understand what Lisa Porter had done. How she had taken 17 rejected adolescents and transformed them into warriors that even the respected. The fame came quickly. News outlets across the galaxy reported the story. The human recruits were no longer unknown trainees. They became symbols of potential. They became proof that strength did not require conforming to someone else's definition of strength. Universities on human colony worlds wanted to study what Lisa had done. Military commanders from across the galaxy requested to observe her training methods. Every young human who dreamed of becoming a warrior suddenly had a path forward that did not lead to rejection and failure. But the most significant moment came when, or made his formal offer. He appeared before Lisa and her recruits with ceremony and formality. The ancient warrior presented an official invitation from the Council. The 17 human recruits would be accepted into the most prestigious training program in the galaxy. They would study directly under masters. They would have access to 5,000 years of accumulated warrior knowledge. This honor has never been extended to any species outside or announced before a gathered audience. It is given now because you have shown us something we needed to see. And the others accepted, their faces showing the full weight of what they had accomplished. They had gone from hopeless to legendary, from rejected to honored, from forgotten to remembered. But before the celebration could fully begin, or asked for a private conversation with Lisa, they met in a quiet observation room overlooking the galaxy. Stars stretched out infinitely in every direction, or stood next to Lisa at the window, his ancient eyes watching the distant light. "You have accomplished something remarkable," Or said, "but I wonder if you understand how remarkable." "They proved their capability," Lisa said. "They did more than that," Or replied. "Let me tell you something about we have been the greatest warriors in existence for 5,000 years. We have trained armies. We have conquered worlds. We have mastered every form of combat known to the galaxy. And in all that time, we have made one fundamental mistake." Lisa waited. "We believed that perfection was the goal," Or continued. "We refined and refined and refined until every movement served a purpose, until every technique had been proven by a success. We created the perfect warrior, and in doing so, we created something that could not adapt, something that could not grow, something that could not become something new." He turned to face Lisa directly. "What you have shown me is that imperfection can be more valuable than perfection. You have shown me that a warrior who has not spent 5,000 years learning one thing can take all that knowledge and break it. You have shown me that growth matters more than achievement, that adaptation matters more than tradition, that becoming new matters more than staying perfect." Or paused. "Your recruits did not win that simulation because they were better warriors than I am. They won because they were willing to be something I can no longer be. They were willing to fail and learn and adapt in ways that I cannot imagine. And they did it together, not because someone ordered them to, but because they chose to. That is human strength. That is what the galaxy did not understand." Lisa felt the weight of his words. I have spent 5,000 years perfecting myself, Or said. But I am no longer growing. You have been alive for less than 50 years and you are still becoming something new. That is what I had to learn. That is what you have taught me. Or extended his hand to Lisa. Thank you, he said. Lisa took it. Over the following months, the story of the human recruits spread across the galaxy. Young humans from Earth and colony worlds began applying to advanced training programs. Where trainers had once dismissed human applicants without consideration, they now competed to recruit them. The training facility at Station, once considered worthless, became the most sought-after military academy in the galaxy. Warriors from dozens of species requested to study there. But they all wanted one thing. They all wanted to train under Lisa Porter. They all wanted to understand how a human trainer had changed everything. Lisa accepted new human recruits, and then recruits from other species who wanted to learn human methods. She built a training program that combined what they had perfected with what humans brought to the table. Discipline and flexibility, tradition and innovation, perfection and growth. The galaxy learned something it had assumed impossible. In a remote corner of a training facility, under the guidance of one woman who refused to accept limitations, human cubs had become legends that the greatest warriors in the galaxy sought to understand. Years passed. The 17 original recruits became leaders themselves, training the next generation, became a military commander respected across the galaxy, led expeditions to the most dangerous sectors of space, taught tactical strategy at the finest academies. Sarah became a military advisor to the Galactic Council. And Lisa Porter remained at Station, training new recruits, continuing to prove that what had been deemed hopeless could become extraordinary. One day, a young human arrived at the training facility. He was small, weak, and discouraged. Every trainer he had encountered had told him the same thing. He was unsuitable. He could not become a warrior. Lisa looked at the young man and saw something she had seen before. She saw potential that no one else could recognize. She saw strength hidden beneath discouragement. She saw a future where this human would become something remarkable. "What is your name?" she asked. "My name is Cooper," the young man said quietly. "Well, Cooper," Lisa said, "you have come to the right place. Every trainer before me told you that you were hopeless. That was their mistake. You are here because I need to teach you what you can actually become." Cooper looked uncertain. "Starting tomorrow," Lisa said, "we begin training, not how other trainers wanted you to train, not how the galaxy expects you to train. We train as humans. We will be creative. We will adapt. We will refuse to accept that something is impossible just because no one has done it before. And when we are finished, you will not just be a warrior. You will be someone who understands what being human actually means." Cooper walked to his quarters that night carrying something he had not felt in years: hope. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The underestimated could become the remarkable. The rejected could become the revered. And sometimes all a person needed was someone willing to believe that they could be something more than what the world had told them they were. Lisa Porter had changed everything. And in doing so, she had proven that the greatest strength was not in being what others wanted you to be. The greatest strength was in becoming exactly what you were meant to be. Lisa met them at the chamber exit. She looked at all 17 faces that had started this journey as failures. "You proved what you are," Lisa said simply. "Now the galaxy will have to accept it." Accepted into advanced training programs across the galaxy. As Lisa and her recruits left the hearing chamber, put a hand on her shoulder. "We can do this," he said, not a question, a statement of fact. Lisa looked at the young people she had trained. They had started as failures, they had become warriors, and now they would show the entire galaxy exactly what that meant. "Yes," she said, "we can and we will." Or stood motionless for a long moment. Then he stood and walked toward the exit. "Request transport to speak with the human trainer," he said to his attendants. "Today, there are things I must understand. Get everything the other trainers taught you about being weak. You remember that you come from a world where everything tried to kill your ancestors, and they survived. You remember that you are not trying to become something else. You are trying to become the best version of what you already are." The recruits stood. Some of them stood tall, some still showed doubt, but they stood. That night, Lisa worked in her quarters, reviewing files and building a training program. She knew what other trainers had tried. Physical conditioning identical to methods. tactical learning based on patterns, collective thinking exercises from training. Lisa would do none of those things. Instead, she would teach them to move like humans move, think like humans think, fight like humans fight. And when the galaxy finally paid attention, they would understand something that no one had considered. Sometimes the underdog does not win by becoming the powerful. Sometimes the underdog wins by being exactly what they are.